You want to tell about
So
the mathematical approach first?
yeah, so it's called the Wiki Clark Groves auction. So this is basically a old mathematical model for auctions, and
Mm-hmm.
what it does basically is that say I am competitor one and you're competitor two. So Varun and Abhinav, we are competing against each other to
Mm-hmm.
show you the meta audience an ad. Okay, and I bid $100 and Abhinav bids $80. So what
Okay.
this is basically a second prize auction. So second prize auction में ये होता है कि I am going to win the auction, right? Because I obviously bid the highest amount. I bid $100. So Facebook is like, okay, why don't you won? But to make it, equal, what it does is I'm going to pay what Abhinav bid actually. So I won the auction by paying $100. I'm sorry, by bidding $100. But in the end, it's going to just cost me $80 because Abhinav was the second highest bidder for this audience, and the algorithm that Facebook uses is this VCG auction model, and by that the second prize is what I'm going to pay. So coming back to the example that Abhinav was talking about,
Hey,
there was
that's a crazy approach, right? So what that means, in how we, I mean, this is the approach that we applied to outbid the competitor. We
yep.
they let's say they used to bid about around about 20% for an app install. Sorry,
Hmm.
$20 for an app install, and we could also afford the same amount of cost, but we went to Facebook saying that we can afford $50 for an app install, and
Hmm.
Facebook gave us the app install because we were willing to outbid the other person by, like, by a long shot. yet
Yeah.
yet we didn't end up paying $50 because of the VCG approach. We ended up paying only around about $20 for the auction that we defeated them in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the hack that I was mentioning was basically if your client or if you can afford to get a new account, what you could do is you could run an ad sets. You could have the same ad set settings in both the accounts, and one account can have a massively lower bid, and the other account can have a high bid. And in these auctions, you'll always win, but you'll end up paying the second account prize. So what happens is, like I just mentioned, it's a second prize auction. So the massively high bid wala account is going to win the auction, but most of the time it's going to get the second prize wala account wala bid. So the ones where I've kept the bids very low, I'm probably going to end up paying there. And you'll see these things work best in custom audiences where the audience is small and targeted and you have the same audience both places. When you go for a broad audience, there are multiple people bidding, so it's not necessary that the second prize is always going to be the second accounts thing.
Okay, so
But
this is
if
a
there are
generic hack, right? This is not related to outbidding the competitor that we did
No, no,
in
no,
that
no,
kind.
no.
Okay, okay,
For
cool,
that, what came into place was what you just said. We just increased our bids and we just bullied them into the auction. Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. So that is how the auction actually works on Facebook. There's an auction model for Facebook. So now let's come back to our this thing. So cool. So the auction competition is increasing, right? So what are you going to do about that then? So it says you can try setting lower bid caps and do not use automatic bidding on high budget assets. See if that works. So there are multiple ways to tackle this auction competition increasing wala thing. What it talks when it says ki try setting lower bid caps, it's basically saying that you bid lower because your CPM is high, your bids are going up, and there's a lot of people competing out there. You say कि तुम अपना bids ही नीचे जाओ, so then your CPM also is going to come down.
And you're
Yeah, so that
not,
is
but you will let your volume suffer. You won't get as many people anymore. You're just participating in the lower, interstices.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is basically this mitigation framework is from a purely monetary perspective that if you want to bring the cost down, because that's when the shit hits the fan, right? I mean, that's where it pinches the most, your money going out, unnecessarily. So this framework comes from that perspective. But if you want to still win and you can afford to win, you could do what we just spoke about. You could bully them in the auction and win the auctions outright. That's how you actually defeat the auction competition.
Got it.
But if thinking from a risk mitigation framework perspective, then you gotta lower your bid caps, and obviously it says don't use automatic bidding. That means that don't go for lowest cost conversions. Switch to bid caps or cost caps depending on your objective, and yeah, that will probably help you win this auction problem.
Okay, cool.
Cool. So fine, auction competition is not a factor. What is the other factor for your CPM being increasing? we go back to delivery insights and we see auction overlap. This is something we just mentioned, but I'll quickly run you through it again. So auction overlap is basically your own ad sets, and there's an overlap in these auctions, right?
You
You
fighting
have,
yourself.
yes, you're fighting yourself basically. Ad A and ad B is fighting against themselves to show an ad to the same audience, and what you'll have to do here is obviously you'll have to reorganize your ad sets, right? You'll have to reorganize the way your campaign is structured and change your ads, change the audiences or ages or placements so that the variables in the ads are no longer same. An example here is that mobile pe chalao or दूसरा desktop pe chalao. Other thing could be you can have, segmented audiences based on gender and age, and yeah, so that's how this would work. So this could be also very big important reason for auction low, your increasing CPMs. Now, your auction competition is also not increasing, and your auction overlap is also not about 20%. What can you do then? What you can do is basically try testing different bid caps, 2x, 3x, 4x of your CPA, and do it for 2, 3 days. What this basically means is that Facebook, right? It's a black box.
Facebook is a black box. No one understands what's happening here. We are trying to just make sense of uncertainty.
Yeah, uncertainty, exactly, right. So probably what Facebook has done is this again happened with our client, and since we have been spending a lot of money, and Facebook realizes that we are a whale. Whale is somebody who just spends a lot of money on your platform, right? So they're like, "Chalo, iska bid badha hi dete." So there's no competition happening. There's no overlap also
But
happening.
this
But
is
Facebook,
money making opportunity for Facebook.
yeah, so Facebook is like, "Chalo, iska bid thoda bada dete." So that is what you're doing here. You're trying to use different bid caps and see that if your bids have actually gone up, and yeah, so you if that is the reason for your CPM actually to rise. So yeah, that is one aspect here. uh, Again, if your auction competition is not increasing and your overlap is also fine, did you start pushing compliance boundaries? I mean, did you start showing the wrong kind of ads? Like Facebook has got a very strong compliance mechanism, right? They have automated it, but they also have people sitting here in India going through all these ads and approving them. And yeah, so they have a lot of compliance related to what kind of ads can you show. You can't show before and after ads, like lose your weight wala jo, what do you call them, the TV pe jo ads aate the telemarketing ads. You can't have you can't claim nonsense on your ads and try to convert your audience, or you can't show sexual ads or something related to drugs. There's a lot of compliance. So are you pushing the compliance boundaries? When you're pushing compliance boundaries also, CPM starts increasing. So if your ad account has got flagged, this is how you go check it out. You go to business/help and you can see if your account is flagged. This link might have changed, guys, but so yeah, you'll have to check out if you're pushing the compliance boundaries for your increasing CPM.
So basically, Facebook is trying to punish you.
Yeah, punish you for doing the wrong thing. They have a strong set of rules here on the platform that because they have 1 billion people and they are supposed to think of it like what happened with the Russia thing, right? There was a lot of compliance issue there, and Facebook was lax there. So now they're actually upping the game, and now it's more stricter on Facebook to actually yeah, sorry, yeah, to show your ads. So you have to be very compliant with their rules and all that stuff. So it's very important that you are compliant with them all the time. And the more you keep getting flagged, the more you're going to get penalized. And here you're getting penalized by increasing CPM. You could get outright penalized by blocking your account also. That is it on a very extreme case, but in general, this is how the penalization begins. Okay, cool. If you're not, pushing the compliance boundaries and your ads are fine, so check your customer service. Check what is the feedback that you're finding on your Facebook. Are the comments? What are the comment? What are people commenting on? What are the like dislike ratio, stuff like that? See if people are actually complaining about your ads. Yeah, कुछ भी दिखा रहे, कभी भी दिखा रहे, and all that stuff.
So
So
you're telling
have a
me
look at
Facebook
that.
does a sentiment analysis on the kind of comments your ad is receiving?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, and this is basically your engagement Facebook page score or your engagement score. So have a look at that and see if your engagement is dipped, or have you done something recently in your ads that has led to people, So the experience that the customer perspective say it should be clear, right? कि what you're showing me on the ad is what I should get on your web page or your mobile app. आप कुछ और दिखाते हो यहाँ और फिर मुझे कुछ और वहाँ मिलता है, तो people are obviously going to say कि यार कुछ भी बोल रहे हैं ये लोग. So you have to keep mind of that also. And it could be poor customer service also from an e-commerce perspective. If
So
your
bad
product
reviews
quality
on
is
your
wrong,
page,
shipping time,
people
backend.
reporting your ad, people reporting your brand, all of this
Yep.
can lead to Facebook penalizing you. Also, if you
Yep.
have a lot of funding and you're spending a lot on Facebook, that also leads to Facebook charging you more.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the box over here clearly states how to do this. I mean, you can divide the sum of negative feedback by your engagement. And if the ratio is greater than 0.1, it means that it has too much negative feedback.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, but I think the better way to just do this is to look at your Facebook page score. That is a clearer metric, and you can just do a sentiment analysis on your own. Just go through the ads that you're running in the ad set and see what people are commenting, what the likes and dislikes are. I mean, it's a very clear trend that you'll see that people are complaining, मतलब दिख जाएगा वो वहाँ. So that is basically what happens when you're increasing CPM.